Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we'll show you 25 things you didn't know about Mortal Kombat.
More than enough time for you and I to make our little journey.
Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Mortal Kombat inspired the ESRB rating system. The excessively graphic finishing moves you know as fatalities spawned intense public controversy with the original 1992 Mortal Kombat game and the following 1993 release of Mortal Kombat 2. It had governmental scrutiny at an all-time high. The game's shocking gore led to United States Senate hearings led by Senators Joe Lieberman and Herb Kohl in late 1993, focusing on the lack of a standardized content rating system for video games. To prevent potential government intervention and regulation, the gaming industry rapidly mobilized. This self-regulatory effort resulted in the formation of the Interactive Digital Software Association in 1994, which eventually evolved into the Entertainment Software Rating Board, otherwise known as the ESRB. They've since shaped how video games are marketed and purchased to this day, and it was all thanks to the initial shock reaction to Mortal Kombat's digitized blood. Scorpion was voiced by his creator. One of the most instantly recognizable and imitated catchphrases in all of fighting game history, Scorpion's iconic scratchy yell of "Get over here" was actually performed by Mortal Kombat co-creator and programmer Ed Boon. This wasn't just a one-off performance either, as Boon continued to provide the voice for this specific, memorable line throughout numerous entries in the franchise, even though the character itself had different voice actors for his other dialogue and grunts in later games. It's so iconic that even people who haven't played Mortal Kombat can recognize it as Scorpion's signature spear move. The Fatalities' origins. The infamous Fatality mechanic, the gruesome, over-the-top finishing move that defined Mortal Kombat and distinguished it from other fighting games, has a surprisingly simple inspiration from none other than its primary rival back in the day. According to co-creator Ed Boon, the Fatality was directly inspired by the dizzy state in Capcom's Street Fighter II. Boon liked the idea of a moment where the opponent was completely vulnerable, allowing players to land a guaranteed free hit. However, he disliked how the dizzy state could interrupt the flow of a match mid-game. Therefore, he and John Tobias decided to move it to the very end of the match, after the final "finish them" prompt. It quickly turned from a simple free hit into the unique, gory, and sometimes comical life-ending sequences that we know and love. Combat codes. Mortal Kombat 3 and its subsequent revisions included the combat code system, a novel way of adding hidden gameplay modifiers and fun Easter eggs. These codes were sequences of 6 symbols that players could input on the versus screen before a match began, granting effects ranging from random select to turning off blocking or even activating a slot machine mechanic for random reveals. To add to the uniqueness of the system, the codes were hidden in other media like the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie and its credits. You'd even find them in advertisements or in arcades and magazines. Famous actors. The foundational aesthetic of the original 1992 Mortal Kombat game, defined by its realistic digitized sprites, was made possible by a small group of martial artists and actors. The primary cast was incredibly limited, with just 5 individuals bringing nearly the entire roster to life through motion capture. Ho Sung Pak played both the main protagonist Liu Kang and the sorcerer Shang Tsung. Elizabeth Malecki portrayed Sonya Blade. Richard DeVizio played Kano, and Carlos Pesina brought the Thunder God Raiden to life. And lastly, Daniel Pesina, Carlos's brother, held the largest role, portraying Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Reptile.
Sub-Zero wins.
Mortal Kombat Nitro. In the early days of console gaming, censorship was a significant concern, especially for Nintendo, who enforced strict content standards. When Mortal Kombat was ported to the SNES, all its blood had been replaced with sweat, and fatalities were heavily toned down. Thanks to the immense commercial success of the uncensored Genesis version, however, and the growing public desire for the authentic arcade experience, this led to a shift. Midway developed Mortal Kombat 2 with the promise of uncensored violence across all platforms, including the SNES. There were plans for a re-release of the first game, tentatively titled Mortal Kombat Nitro. This version would have been a new cartridge for the SNES, restoring the red blood and original fatalities from the arcade version, alongside potentially new exclusive features. Unfortunately, this version never came to be. Language Scorpion. The 2005 spin-off Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks was an action-adventure game that retold the events of Mortal Kombat 2 from the perspective of Liu Kang and Kung Lao.
You have defeated the sorcerer Shang Tsung. You have saved this realm as your forefathers did from his evil. You are Earthrealm's champion and hero.
It features Scorpion as a boss and an unlockable character. We've briefly discussed his signature special attack, where he yells, "Get over here," or "Come here." Yet in Shaolin Monks, the developers added a subtle but utterly hilarious detail for players who repeatedly spammed the move. When you do, Scorpion occasionally substitutes his classic line with profanity. It seems so out of place, considering how the series always relied on typically PG-rated dialogue for its special moves.
Johnny Cage.
Lay it on me, Raiden. Bow, you idiot.
Kitana and Striker in the first game. The creation process for the original Mortal Kombat involved several character concepts that were significantly altered or shelved before the final 1992 release. One prominent example is the cop Curtis Stryker, who was initially envisioned as the grounded, skeptical human observer in the otherworldly tournament. While he eventually debuted in Mortal Kombat 3 as a police officer, his role in the first game was instead filled by Sonya Blade, a member of the US Special Forces.
Wins.
It's a similar story for Kitana, who debuted in Mortal Kombat 2. She was also conceptualized with the first game, but they saved her for the sequel.
Kitana wins.
There's also several characters who underwent name changes, like Michael Grimm, who eventually became Johnny Cage, or Goro, who eventually became Goro. Reptile was a hidden character. Reptile was the first ever secret character in a fighting game, and the method to access his bonus fight in the original Mortal Kombat was notoriously difficult and cryptic, becoming the stuff of arcade legend. He was not a playable character in this iteration, but a hidden enemy who was a green palette swap of both Scorpion and Sub-Zero, utilizing both of their special moves. To fight him, players had to be on the pit stage, have the silhouette of the moon pass in the background, earn a double flawless victory, and perform a fatality, all without blocking in either round. Meeting these absurdly demanding criteria would transport the player to the bottom of the pit for a special match against the elusive ninja. Everyone is live action, except one. The original Mortal Kombat game stood out because of its use of digitized sprites, which involved filming actors in costume and then converting those images into game assets, giving the cast a uniquely realistic appearance. However, the four-armed Shokan champion Goro could not be created using this process due to his non-human physiology. Instead, Goro was realized using stop-motion animation. Sculptor Kurt Chiarelli created a highly detailed clay model of the character. The developers then meticulously posed the model frame by frame, capturing hundreds of individual images to bring Goro to life.
Johnny Cage wins. Flawless victory.
The name. Before the title of the franchise was finalized, the 4-person development team was struggling to come up with a catchy and memorable name for the new fighting game. Ed Boon and John Tobias considered numerous ideas, including Kumite, Dragon Attack, Death Blow, and even just Fatality.
Flawless Fatality.
One afternoon, Steve Ritchie, a prominent pinball and game designer who was friends with Boon, visited their office. As he glanced over a drawing board where Kombat had been misspelled with a K, Ritchie spontaneously suggested combining it with Mortal. It instantly clicked with the developers, and the rest is history, according to Ed Boon at least. You see, according to John Tobias, the name instead came about due to a legal issue while attempting to trademark Mortal Kombat with a C.
Liu Kang wins.
4 people, 10 months. The original Mortal Kombat arcade game was an incredibly ambitious project created under severe time and resource constraints. In 1991, Midway Games management tasked programmer Ed Boon and comic book artist John Tobias with creating a new fighting game to compete with Capcom's highly successful Street Fighter II. They were given an intense deadline of just 10 months to conceive, develop, and finalize the game for an arcade release. Boon and Tobias recruited only 2 other members to complete the core development team: artist John Vogel for graphics and backgrounds, and sound designer Dan Forden, the man behind the Toasty soundbite. Sub-Zero in every MK. While many other characters have been series staples and have returned for multiple games, Sub-Zero is the only playable character to have been included on the roster of every single main Mortal Kombat fighting game released since the 1992 original.
Sub-Zero wins.
The other regulars have occasionally missed an entry. For instance, his rival Scorpion was famously absent from the original arcade version of Mortal Kombat 3, and the franchise hero Liu Kang was an unlockable character in Mortal Kombat Deception and was even fully excluded from Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. With the developers sometimes cutting characters that died in the story, it's impressive that Sub-Zero got to stay for every title. Johnny Cage in Guile. The inclusion of Jean-Claude Van Damme as a DLC skin for Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 1 is actually a full circle moment for the franchise.
I was kidding about the muscles. You are ripped.
The original Mortal Kombat was initially conceived as a video game adaptation of Van Damme's 1988 movie Bloodsport. When that deal fell through, the developers salvaged the core idea and created Johnny Cage, a narcissistic action star, as their homage to the Belgian martial artist.
Johnny Cage wins.
This wasn't Van Damme's first connection to a fighting game, however. Years before the official MK1 collaboration, Van Damme played the iconic American airman Colonel Guile in the 1994 live-action Street Fighter movie, a franchise that Mortal Kombat would both compete with and be inspired by. Hornbuckle. In the background of the iconic Pit 2 stage in Mortal Kombat 2, eagle-eyed players could spot 2 figures fighting on a narrow ledge far below. One figure clearly resembled Liu Kang, but the other was an orange flaming entity. Players quickly dubbed the Liu Kang lookalike Hornbuckle. The name originated from one of the hints that Jade offered when she appeared as a secret character, which cryptically read, quote, "Hornbuckle who?" While the flaming opponent, eventually named Blaze, did become playable in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Hornbuckle was ultimately confirmed to be a mere palette-swapped sprite of Liu Kang. Forgotten spin-offs. Beyond the main fighting game series, Mortal Kombat attempted to expand its universe into different genres with varying levels of success, many of which are now largely forgotten by the mainstream audience. The first spin-off was Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, a side-scrolling action platformer that served as a prequel to the main series. While ambitious in its storytelling, it became infamous among fans for its frustrating, clunky controls and poor executed live-action full-motion video cutscenes. Its failure led to the cancellation of the proposed Mythologies series. The developers tried again in 2000 with Mortal Kombat Special Forces, an even more poorly received 3D action game starring Jax.
Sorry to burst your bubble, Kano, but the only thing you're gonna lord over is a porcelain throne in a 4x4 room.
Midway had stopped attempting spin-offs until the successful Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks in 2005. NBA Jam. In 1994, Midway Games released NBA Jam Tournament Edition, an updated version of their massively successful over-the-top basketball arcade game.
Can't buy a bucket! Coleman! Count it!
Midway decided to include an unexpected but welcome cross-promotion with its other smash hit, Mortal Kombat. By inputting specific codes, players could unlock 4 characters from the fighting game, Raiden, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Reptile, as playable basketball players, complete with their Mortal Kombat 2 select screen images. The game even included occasional background advertisements for Mortal Kombat. As the cherry on top, the game even allowed you to perform a fatality on your opponent. Cabal's Cut Cameo. The 2000 spin-off Mortal Kombat Special Forces was a disastrous release and had been drastically scaled back from its original concept, which included co-op and a story centered on both Jax and Sonya.
Kano, you're gonna pay for this.
In the final rushed product, Sonya was completely absent, and the game's plot suffered significantly. Years after its release, leaked beta footage revealed a major piece of cut content involving Cabal. His debut in Mortal Kombat 3 established him as a former member of the Black Dragon crime syndicate before his facial injury. Special Forces was intended to show his departure from the group, but that, along with Sonya as a playable character, got completely scrapped. Belokk. Mortal Kombat Gold was the exclusive Dreamcast port of Mortal Kombat 4, released in 1999, and its main selling point was the addition of several fan-favorite returning characters, including Kitana, Milena, and Cyrax.
After experiencing the flashbacks in my fight against Shinnok, I realized that my existence is unnecessary unless I can fully recover my human psyche.
However, the developers also planned to introduce a brand new character named Belokk. Belokk was designed as an imposing demonic entity and was even featured in early promotional materials and screenshots for the game. He was fully designed, modeled, and was intended to be part of the final roster. Unfortunately, due to significant time constraints, the developers were forced to cut Belokk from the game.
You are in no position to demand anything. I could kill you with a mere thought.
But we had a deal.
Big Trouble in Little China. Mortal Kombat co-creator John Tobias has openly discussed the influence of John Carpenter's 1986 film Big Trouble in Little China on the aesthetic and premise of the game. The film's unique mashup of a grounded Western world with a bizarre mythological Eastern underworld resonated deeply with the developers. This influence is most apparent in the designs of 2 key Mortal Kombat characters. The Thunder God Raiden was directly modeled after the film's trio of elemental assassins, the 3 Storms. Additionally, the main antagonist of the game, the shape-shifting sorcerer Shang Tsung, bears a striking resemblance to the film's villain, Lo Pan.
Empty. Million. I need you, million.
Scorpion and Sub-Zero's actor was fired. Daniel Pesina, who played the original live-action motion capture roles for Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Reptile, and Johnny Cage in the first 2 Mortal Kombat games, actually got fired. His association with the franchise came to an abrupt end before Mortal Kombat 3.
Sub-Zero wins.
The reason for his termination was his participation in an advertisement for a rival fighting game. Pesina performed promotional work for the game Bloodstorm, which was positioned in arcades as a potential Mortal Kombat killer. To Midway's displeasure, he was featured in the ad wearing his iconic Johnny Cage costume. He was replaced by the actor and martial artist John Turk, who took over the roles of the ninjas.
Sonya wins.
Saturday morning Quan Chi. Despite making his formal fighting game debut in Mortal Kombat 4 and his prequel appearance in Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, both in the fall of 1997, his true debut was in the short-lived animated series Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm.
The answer to our quest lies there.
In the 8th episode, titled The Secret of Quan Chi, released in late 1996, the character was featured as the main antagonist, a villain of the week whose primary goal was exploiting the power of the elemental gods. MK Legacy's canceled 3rd season. The web series Mortal Kombat Legacy, known for its gritty interpretation of the characters' backstories, ended its 2nd season in a dramatic cliffhanger, leaving fans anticipating a continuation.
Show me what you got.
While a 3rd season was indeed planned and actively moving forward, it ended up getting canceled. That 3rd season was intended to be a tie-in and lead-up to the 2015 release of Mortal Kombat X. The development of the show was so closely aligned with the game that a leaked casting call for the 3rd season was the source of the very first public details about several new characters in Mortal Kombat X. It leaked descriptions of characters like Aaron Black and Devora before the game was even out. Mortal Kombat's own band. Following the initial unexpected success of the Mortal Kombat arcade game, musicians Maurice Engelin and Olivier Adams, both already members of the electronic group Lords of Acid, were approached to create an official album to accompany the phenomenon. They branched off to form the group The Immortals specifically for this project. Their resulting album, Mortal Kombat the Album, featured the iconic track Techno Syndrome, which is instantly recognizable as the theme music for the franchise. Their music was not only used extensively in marketing and subsequent sequels, but also served as the primary driving soundtrack for the 1995 live-action movie.
Raiden wins.
And lastly, Canon Terminator. The first couple of Mortal Kombat games actually had prologue comics written for them, and one of them involves Sonya Blade's longtime nemesis, Kano. When Kano escapes from Sonya and the Special Forces, his escape route takes him onto Shang Tsung's boat headed for the deadly Tournament Island. During his transit, he has a brief but telling encounter with the movie star Johnny Cage. Kano roughs up Cage and demands that he utter the famous line, "I'll be back."
Then you choose termination.
Johnny Cage simply, and somewhat annoyed, replies that the line isn't from his movie. This seemingly innocuous reference has a massive implication for the Mortal Kombat universe's lore, considering multiple Terminator characters would end up featuring as DLC in the games. It's even further emphasized by a direct mention of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Johnny Cage's Mortal Kombat 4 ending. Which of these Mortal Kombat facts surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays.